It starts the same way for almost everyone you. Finally build up the courage to send that message to your crush. Maybe it's something simple, light, just enough to spark a conversation. And then, as soon as you hit send, your whole world slows down. Suddenly, you're staring at your phone like it holds the key to your entire future. You refresh the screen, check if she's online, reread your message 5 times, second-guessing every word. You try to stay cool, but minutes drag like hours. And hours stretch into what feels like days. That tiny scene or lack of reply begins to feel louder than any conversation. Your thoughts start racing. Did I say the wrong thing? Maybe she's just busy. Should I follow up? Send another message just to check in? You're locked in an emotional loop. It's convincing yourself there's still hope if you just do something. I remember when a friend told me about his own spiral. He sent 6 texts over 3 days. Nothing crazy, all casual, but each one more desperate than the last. He thought he was showing he cared. Instead, he looked like he couldn't take a hint. And that's when it hit me. Chasing someone who doesn't return the same energy is a losing game. It's like running hard on a treadmill. You're sweating, exhausting yourself, feeling like you're doing everything right, but you're not getting anywhere. What's worse, you're too focused on their reaction to see what it's doing to your confidence. But what if there's a better move? What if the most powerful thing you can do is stop chasing? Not out of spite or manipulation, but out of self-respect. That's when everything begins to shift. That's when you take your power back. When you stop chasing, everything changes. You stop trying to force something that clearly isn't flowing. You stop pouring your time, energy, and attention into someone who isn't matching it. That stillness, something powerful begins to take shape. Silence. Not an empty silence, but a deliberate one. Most people fear it, thinking it means giving up. But silence, used with intention, can say more than any perfectly crafted message. Think of it like being in a store where the salesperson won't leave you alone. At first you might be polite, but after a while the constant pressure becomes annoying. You don't feel more interested. You feel smothered. And all you want to do is leave. That's what over-messaging feels like from the other side. The more you push, the more space they need. But the moment you go quiet, the dynamic flips. Suddenly, your absence is noticed. That space you once filled with texts and check-ins now becomes a question mark in her mind. Why hasn't he messaged me? Curiosity creeps in. People don't often realize what they had until it's gone. You're no longer in her notifications, no longer reaching out. And that shift in energy is felt especially if she's used to being chased. And maybe she doesn't notice. That tells you everything. If your absence doesn't spark even a flicker of thought, then your presence was never truly valued. That kind of realization stings, but it also frees you. You're no longer stuck in that loop of overgiving. Instead, you begin to reclaim your balance. Because silence doesn't mean surrender. It means respect. It means holding space for mutual effort. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is the one you don't speak at all. Now that you've pulled your energy back, the question becomes, what will you do with it? This is the moment when everything begins to shift from them to you. All that time you spent thinking about what to say, waiting for replies, checking your phone now, it becomes fuel. Redirect it. Reinvest it. This is your chance to turn the focus inward and start building something for yourself. Maybe it's a skill you've been putting off, a project you never had time for, or your physical health that needs attention. Whatever it is, this is your opportunity to grow. There's a story I once heard about a guy who, after being ghosted by someone he really liked, decided he wasn't going to sit around waiting. Instead, he signed up for the gym. Then he started reading more. He began learning a new language, meeting new people, reconnecting with old friends. Within months, he wasn't the same person anymore, because someone finally validated him, but because he finally started valuing himself. Ironically, the girl who ghosted him eventually reached out, but by then, he wasn't even interested. Not because he was bitter, but because he had outgrown that version of himself that once waited by the phone. Growth changes you from the inside out, makes you stronger, sharper, more confident. It reminds you that your value doesn't depend on someone else seeing, It starts with you seeing it. And when you start building your life with purpose, something powerful happens. You stop chasing. Not because you've given up on love, but because you've started choosing yourself first. And that right there is where real attraction begins. You don't need to beg for attention. You simply become someone others want to keep up with. As you focus on your growth, something unexpected and powerful starts to happen. You gain clarity. It's not just about her, but about everything. The longer you stay away from the constant checking, the waiting, the second guessing, the clearer your mind becomes. It's like a fog lifting. You begin to see things for what they really were, not what you hoped they could be. You stop romanticizing half-effort replies and realize how much energy you were putting into someone who wasn't truly invested. That truth can be uncomfortable, even painful, but it's also necessary. Because clarity is the first step toward healing. You start to remember the little red flags you ignored. The way she took hours or days to reply, how conversations always felt one-sided, or how your excitement was met with indifference. You begin to ask deeper questions, not about her, but about you. What do you want in a partner? What are your non-negotiables? What kind of energy do you deserve in return? This is the kind of clarity that changes everything. Because once you know your standards, you can't unknow them. You certainly can't go back to accepting less. It's also clarity about yourself, your patterns, your needs, your worth. Maybe you realize that what you were really craving wasn't her, but the feeling of being wanted. That's a powerful realization. Because once you understand that, you can give that validation to yourself instead of seeking it through someone else. This stage is quiet but life-changing. It's not loud like the chase or dramatic like heartbreak. It's steady, honest, and freeing. And when you finally see clearly, you stop reaching for closed doors. You stop hoping for mixed signals to suddenly make sense. You choose peace, and that peace becomes your new standard. And then it happens. She reaches out. Maybe it's a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" or a sudden like on your story after weeks of silence. The old version of you would have lit up instantly, heart racing, fingers itching to reply. But you're not that person anymore. You've grown, you've shifted. You've seen what life feels like when your energy is invested in yourself instead of someone who left you hanging. Now, her message feels different. Not like a lifeline, but like a test. A moment to check in with yourself before responding. The first thing you need to remember is, her message doesn't necessarily mean she's changed, or that she's suddenly ready for the kind of connection you want. Sometimes people reach out of boredom, loneliness, or curiosity, not genuine intention. That's why you need to stay grounded. Don't fall back into old patterns. Don't let one message undo all the work you've done on yourself. You're still interested, reply casually. Calmly, observe. Let her actions, not just her words, show you if she's serious. And if she's not, you walk away. No bitterness, no over-explaining, just quiet confidence. Because the truth is, when you've spent time growing, healing, and finding clarity, you develop a new kind of self-respect. One that doesn't flinch at the thought of losing someone who can't meet your energy. You realize that love should never feel like begging. It should feel like balance. And if she's not capable of that, you don't shrink yourself to make it work. Instead, you keep building your life. You stay focused on what matters. Because when the right person shows up, it won't feel like chasing. It'll feel like coming home. Until then, you protect your peace and hold your standards. That's what real power looks like.